We've got a massive Grayson Allen injury update as the ankle injury is not looking as serious as the x-rays were negative. This is fantastic for the Phoenix Suns as they look to bounce back going back home, going down 2-0 and losing Grayson Allen early in that contest. Plus, Frank Vogel is absolutely frustrated with this squad breaking down, and he's getting called out the Phoenix Suns. So we'll be breaking down that on this episode of Suns Digest. I'm Bruce Veliz. But before we dive in on all this Phoenix Suns news, if you guys don't know, this is a new Suns Digest channel. So if you guys want to make sure you stay up to date on all the Phoenix Suns daily news throughout the playoffs, throughout the offseason, we'll be here to break it down for you guys. So make sure to hit that subscribe button as this is the place for you. But without further ado, let's dive into the topic at hand today. Make sure to grab a snack as it is going to be a jam-packed episode. And the first topic at hand today that we're going to be breaking down is the Grayson Allen injury update. Like I mentioned in the introduction, the Phoenix Suns are saved by this. Grayson Allen is a huge three-point shooter for our squad when guys like Bradley Beal, when guys like Devin Booker, unfortunately, are not going from three-point range. And as we've seen over the first two games, that's what we've been experimenting with. And Grayson Allen hasn't been that guy to be able to step up. And yesterday, we needed him, but unfortunately, he went down early with an ankle injury. But we have an update from Amanda Pluvgard, who says that Frank Vogel says that the x-rays were negative for Grayson Allen, and he'll be considered day-to-day, which is huge news. From watching that injury go down, it looked like this was going to be a long-term ankle injury for Grayson Allen. He had to be helped off the court. When they showed him in the tunnel on the TNT broadcast, he was being helped walking through the tunnel, putting no pressure on it at all. And the announcers were even thinking that it's not going to be obviously a bad decision for the game 2, but for the future of this series. Could he be out game 3? Could he be out even possibly game 4 or potentially the entire series? But with the x-rays being negative, this is a good sign because, like I mentioned, Grayson Allen has been a key contender for our Suns team. Like I mentioned, averaging around 14 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, all up on his career high averages. Then we look at the field goal percentage as well, shooting around 50% from the field, 46% from 3, and 88% from the free throw. Grayson Allen has been a huge difference maker for the Suns' success and really for the Suns' offense generating and being so successful. When guys like Bradley Beal had those injuries and were out, we needed a guy like Grayson Allen to continue with that stroke, to continue with that three-point shooting, having that volume, and he is a key piece. That's why they extended him 4 years, $70 million on a long-term deal, a contract kind of similar to what Duncan Robinson get, possibly a kind of contract similar to what Sam Hauser could get for the Boston Celtics in the future. But yes, Grayson Allen been a key contributor, and we are going to need him back. Hopefully, he'll be back for Game 3, as we'll need that shooting. As we all know, Booker and Beal have had those struggles in the first 2 games. Hopefully, they kind of wake up as well. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section down below. What are your guys' thoughts on Grayson Allen, and when do you guys think that he'll be back for Game 3, or do you guys think they're going to give him some more rest? But let's dive into the main topic at hand today, which is Frank Vogel calling out the Phoenix Suns. And Frank Vogel had some choice of words to say following this second loss to Minnesota. And what I want to say is the Suns dominated the second quarter with no Karl-Anthony Towns. But after in that second half, the turnovers were abundant, atrocious, and it's what has led to kind of the collapse here as we see. This is an article for Sports Illustrated where Frank Vogel calls out the Phoenix Suns, saying they need to handle the pressure better, according to Frank Vogel. And he had to say this, saying that they got to handle the pressure better. I thought we found some things in the first half that worked really well in terms of our movement and passing cut offense. We didn't sustain it when they were on a run, and we didn't stay locked into that plan. We had too many lost possessions because of it, and Phoenix hasn't scored over 100 points in either of their matchups. Was just absolutely atrocious for this Suns team. Like we mentioned, this team is known for its offense. It's known for its creativity. Devin Booker, one of the best scorers in the NBA, the best shooting guard in the NBA. Kevin Durant, such a creative playmaker, such a creative scorer, has that size to be able to shoot over guys and be able to, play against wings, play against big men, play against guards, being able to take over offensively. And both of those guys have not showed up. Bradley Beal, brought in to be that extra third scorer, has not come through. This Suns team needs these shots to be falling, needs them to be clicking. And another problem with this team is the turnovers. As we obviously have mentioned, we've had an issue, Frank Vogel said, with that throughout the course of the year of taking care of the basketball, and it reared us in head tonight. The team is an elite defensive team, the best defensive team in the league, and so you got to play against it, and you got to be able to execute. Like we mentioned, the Timberwolves, one of the best defensive teams, they are going to be able to knock us down, be able to play those defensive pressures, be able to swarm us, be able to stop us. And guys like Beal and Booker got to be able to handle the ball. And that's the main problem. not having that true point guard, not having that facilitator to work through, and that's a big issue for the Phoenix Suns. Ultimately, in my opinion, I was confused with this move bringing in Bradley Beal, and even with bringing him in, I kind of figured Bradley Beal and Booker would play the 2-3 alongside KD. Maybe he'd be a taller 4 and would go out and get another guard to help us out, a guard to run and set up the offense. Would have, 2 shooters on the wings being able to help us out. But no, we're going to run with Booker. We're going to run with Beal being our playmakers. And yes, they're not bad playmakers. They can set up some plays and be able to facilitate in some aspects, but they're not going to be able to run an offense. That's not their role. And we clearly see it with this team, with the pick and roll, with Gobert and with Towns. The double big man is so tough for us to even set up a pick and roll with our bigs that it's impossible for us to even get into the paint and even get a pass open into the paint. We just bring up the ball, we shoot them mid-range, we'll shoot some threes, and if they're not falling, it's not working out for us. Fortunately for us, in the second quarter, Karl-Anthony Towns took 3 fouls early on in the first quarter, so we were able to dominate down low, kind of will us into that game. But Mike Conley on the other side was willing them back, just basically scoring on us with no problems. And that was another issue right there, is not being able to stop that bleeding, being able to contain that. And like I mentioned, we're a terrible turnover team. We want to look at the turnovers. We are a bottom 6 team in turnovers, and it's because, again, we don't have that true facilitator. We don't have that guy who can set up the offense. We don't have a guy that can fully bring it in and be that playmaker, run a Phoenix-style offense. And that could be a little problem with Frank Vogel's as well, not really looking at these rotations and kind of running some stagnant lineups throughout the playoffs as we've seen. But exactly, we can't let the refs distract us or distract our focus. The refs didn't beat us, the T-Wolves did. We got some bad calls, but that happens in every game. It happens both ways. We have to be locked in, and we can't be distracted or lose our focus when they're swarming on us. We're going to get the right stops. We've got to be organized offensively. We've had too many possessions like that. So exactly, talking about the refs as well, not putting the blames on the refs. This game was very physical. Anthony Edwards and Bradley Beal were going at it back and forth. We saw Devin Booker and Jaden McDaniels getting a little bit of a scuffle here. This little, rivalry is kind of brewing now. I wouldn't want to call it a rivalry, but, these teams are clashing. Obviously, Anthony Edwards, very passionate guy, wanted defending his Minnesota team, talking to KD, now talking to Bradley Beal. But the Suns are obviously want to back themselves up. They want to feel confident. They want to still believe in themselves. And Devin Booker had to say this about these Suns. They need to regroup and keep their season alive, saying that they got to regroup. We got 2 days to think about it, 2 days to sit with it. And, we've showed them in spots this season, and it's something that we need to correct urgently. Game 3 will be on Friday back in Phoenix, and like we mentioned, it is a must-win, a big-time performance for our Phoenix Suns, as they have to be able to come out and get a big-time dub versus this squad to prove to everybody that we are still a contender. We are still those guys. We are still that team that everybody wants us to be, because the Phoenix Suns, ladies and gentlemen, need that prowess. They need to show off that. They need to show that they're still a contender. They still need to prove to everybody that, because that's the one problem with this team, is everybody's counting us out. Everybody's hating on us. Everybody's throwing us out the window. Our time is over. But no, it is not, ladies and gentlemen. But there are some tweaks and some adjustments that we need to make. If we want to look at the stats of this team, Devin Durant averaging around 25 points, Devin Booker averaging 19, Bradley Beal averaging 15. That needs to step up. Our offense needs to be gelling. Look at these shooting stats. Devin Booker is shooting 38% from the playoffs, 25% from 3, with having a 1-for-6 game last night. Those are the key things that need to change for this squad to be able to come alive. We need to wake up offensively. Frank Vogel is right. We need to gel. We need to come together. Devin Booker is right. We have 2 days, ladies and gentlemen, 2 days to get our offense going, to get it back, and to win this game, because I'm not going to call this series over yet. I think that if we go home, we're able to handle business, play our type of ball, our type of style, we can beat this Minnesota team. Our defense can handle their offense. Their offense is not scary. We saw Anthony Edwards go off game 1, but last night he had a bad performance, and we were still in it until the turnovers cost us late in the second half. We need to stop the turnovers, get our offensive set, get our plays going well, and be able to dominate at home. Game 3, that is our game plan. We need to set the tempo right in Phoenix to win that game, to make sure to put the Timberwolves on their heels, back them up a little bit for Game 4, and then make it a series. If the Suns get both of these games, we're back in this series. It is ready to go. But if the Timberwolves take one in Phoenix, honestly, it's going to be some gleaming issues, and we're going to be breaking down what's going to happen with that and throughout the offseason on this channel here with Suns Digest. So if you guys enjoyed the video, if you guys enjoyed the content, like I mentioned, we'd greatly appreciate if you guys hit the subscribe button, as we're trying to get into the Suns demographic, get into the Suns media sphere, and bring you guys daily Phoenix Suns content. Like I mentioned, thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode as we broke down all this fantastic Grayson Allen injury update and Frank Vogel calling out the Phoenix Suns. I'm Bruce Veliz. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.